They're going to fire. They're going to fire on an engine room. Listen.
Motor Vessel Tosca. Motor Vessel Tosca. Vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
Okay, we gave the flare. Now we're getting...
And they did. And they took out the engine room. They disabled an Iranian an Iranian flagged cargo ship yesterday. And they are now, the Marines boarded that ship and apparently are in command of it. What's going to happen, I don't know. But maybe Jennifer Bukowski in for Stephanie Bell or John Marsh or Drake Whitman. I don't think anyone knows what's going on over there anymore. Friday, we were all happy, right, Jennifer? Then what happened over the weekend? It all came apart.
Yeah, you have like the mullahs over there. A lot of them have been taken out. They're the religious, super religious ones. Then you have your, guys with guns that are in charge of armed forces. And I don't know if they're quite the same, but they all like the power, don't they? And now there's got to be some confusion with so many of them being taken out, and maybe even some competition between various factions as to who should be in charge. And we have not seen that mullah son, the Ayatollah, since he got appointed, right? Have we seen him one time?
No one's seen him, but he's allegedly issued statements. Now, is it him or is it someone?
Is the cardboard cutout?
Proximity? Yeah, I don't know.
No kidding.
And but it's amazing. I mean, it sounds as though the only one who was really agreeing with Donald Trump about opening up the straits on Friday. Remember, that was all the big news. The markets were up, oil was down, life was good, things were, the clouds were clearing. And then sounds like only the foreign minister was on board. And the IRGC people, the Speaker of the Parliament,
right?
Like you say, there seems to be a fractious kind of a leadership over there.
At one point, we walked out of the talks because we determined they didn't have, whoever was talking didn't have authority to make a deal, right?
Right.
And so now do they? Because they said, talks are going to resume back in Pakistan. Doesn't sound like J.D. Vance is going this time, though. I'm not sure. Maybe he's going back.
Pakistan. This is an interesting thing that's developing. And, of course, we have, on the other hand, you have Ro Khanna, who is out there saying, well, we could be spending money on health care and we could be spending money on, social services. Ro, read your Constitution. I know that you and your Democrats and your progressives and your Mamdanis and your Obamas all think that, that's what the government's role is, but not really. It's defense and it's national security. So we'll see where it all goes. There's allegedly going to be talks held tomorrow, and J.D. Vance may show up and no one else shows up for the date. But from the way they're talking.
Kind of sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone on our side says that, there's going to be some talks in Pakistan, and Vance apparently heading over there. What happened? If he shows up and they ghost him, stand him up, can you imagine? I can't imagine the fury coming out of Donald Trump's mouth and Truth Social post when that happens.
Yeah, but go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, it sounds like the ceasefire is about to end.
Yeah. Well, doesn't it end tomorrow, actually? I think that's right.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I wonder what's going on their side. Like, are they afraid, like, if I go, these people in my own country are going to kill me because we're not supposed to go? We're supposed to, die now?
Well, the IRGC, it is reported, we know they're crazy, right? They actually, unlike the Western worldview, they don't really value their own life on Earth at all. Right?
Some of them. But then you see them sending their kids here. Their kids are like, do they really believe that we're the devil, et cetera, if their kids are here?
No, but I mean, in terms of martyrdom, that's like the highest aspiration there. And here, not so much. I mean, there are, give me liberty or give me death. I understand that. But there's a different mentality. So we think it can't be lost on us that we're dealing with true religious radicals who think that if they die, if they're the last person in Iran shooting a gun at a boat in the Straits of Hormuz and they get taken out,
they get their 72 virgins.
It's the best thing that could ever happen.
It's like Valhalla.
72 virgins
like the Vikings.
in paradise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you look at the leadership of the radical mullahs and all. They're not the ones doing the martyring themselves. They direct the young people to go out and do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I think that where this is going to end, no one knows. About the time we think that, the whole MO has been escalate to de-escalate.
Well, Saturday night, Trump said, "I'm with you. I will fight for you." And Persian Twitter was just so appreciative and so relieved to see that post that he did Saturday.
I don't know. It's just weird. I don't get it.
Well, they said they want to escalate to de-escalate. They've escalated to devastation. I mean, you have the Pope lecturing America about possible war crimes.
Not so much, Rokana. Not so much. The Pope had a different take on it. He actually held his own microphone in this one. This was interesting. No little altar boy holding the microphone. I don't know where he was on it. Looks like maybe on an airliner or something. Listen.
Yeah, it was in regional Africa.
It has not been accurate in all of its aspects, but because of the political situation created when on the first day of the trip, the President of the United States made some comments about myself. Much of what has been written since then has been more commentary on commentary, trying to interpret what has been said. Just one little example, the talk that I gave at the prayer meeting for peace a couple of days ago was prepared 2 weeks ago, well before the president ever commented on myself and on the message of peace that I am promoting.
So he says that there was a talk in, I think, Congo. He gave a talk. Was it in Congo? Or
I think so.
Where he talked about tyrants and peace and so forth. And, of course, the media ran with that as being a direct hit against Trump. The thing was, the war had broken out, but actually that had been written apparently a couple of weeks before, Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. The Pope, I think, is trying. Now, of course, a couple of weeks before that Congolese talk may have been actually after I have to go back and think this out here. Bottom line, the Pope, I think, is trying to kiss and make up a little bit. No? Yeah?
Possibly.
Little kumbaya?
Yeah, because everybody knows how to adjust your speeches. This guy's been literally giving speeches and homilies and whatever his entire career. And you're going to know you and I know how to adjust if big breaking news happens. Certainly he does too. So, yeah, it could be a little backpedaling on his part. It still throws me hearing the American accent when it's the Pope.
Isn't it wild?
I don't think of him as a real Pope for some reason.
I know. It's like, do you like Nathan's or do you like Oscar Mayer there? Pope, what do you like?
Chicago.
What kind of hot dog do you like?
Who does he have to suck up to? I'm confused. Why would the Pope have to suck up to anyone? He's the head of the Catholic Church, and what does he care what Trump thinks of him?
We're America, Drake. Hello. That's
right.
That's not an excuse. I mean, I don't know why I would be seeking validation from someone who oftentimes makes sacrilegious remarks and posts. I don't know. I don't get the thought.
Now, at the risk of sounding cynical, which is rare for me, it doesn't happen often. It could be that, the Catholic Church, while there's an upsurge now and there is an influx of younger membership, they still are dependent on what comes in on the offering plate and the donations and the charity organizations and so forth. And there are probably many, I don't know what the percentage of Catholics who support the war and who don't, I don't know. But let's just say a substantial number of Catholics probably are right behind Trump and the military effort. Maybe they have people in the military. So you don't want to alienate people that are behind the guy that you're criticizing.
100%.
Because I think that flows through to support for your cause.
Yeah, and we're the wealthiest country, so we're going to be tithing the most.
Yeah. And I'm not Catholic, I don't know, but I mean I would just think that there may if I don't know if my I can tell you I had a church at one point where the preacher came out in full support of Barack Hussein Obama and everything. It was hard to sit in the pews on Sunday morning, and it was hard for me to pull out my wallet and give a lot because I'm like, wait a minute, dude, you don't share my worldview, and I know that may not be right, but so I don't know. I don't know. I just think that I think he's trying to probably moderate a little bit just to keep the peace in many different ways.
Sure. Okay.
You don't buy that?
Not for a second.
I just thought it was nice that he was holding his own microphone. That was good.
Need to remember.
Did you see that boom mic epic? Holy moly, that blew up on the weekend.
What was it?
There was a boom mic that was placed a little low when Trump was standing.
Oh.
Spread was like feet wide stance
Yeah.
in front of,
Yeah.
in front of the Air Force One with all these reporters like kneeling, taking photos and looking up at him. And it made it look like he had 100-foot long man part.
Oh, when was this?
This was over the weekend when he was
I
in
missed
Vegas,
this.
and I'm like, and everyone's been making different memes out of it and stuff because he's standing there confidently. He looks bigger than Air Force One. He looks like,
That's the one big beautiful boom.
yeah, it's a pretty baller pick right there. I'll say that.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. Well, it is Wake Up Missouri. That's Jennifer Bukowski. In for Steph, I'm Randy Tobler along with John Marsh and Drake hanging out saying the Pope should go for it. Right? If you don't like what Donald's doing, just come out and say it.
No, I just don't get why he'd suck up or like why you'd think that he'd suck up. I mean, it's a president who is, he says some religious things, but he also posts AI pictures of himself as God.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to be in a fight. I mean, he's smart enough to know you're not going to win getting into a fight of word, like a insult fight with Donald Trump. There's no upside for him. So just stay apolitical. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, okay. I get that. Then I guess. I just don't get why you'd be, why the fight would matter, because you're supposed to run the Catholic Church, and I think he does a pretty
It doesn't
good
matter.
job at
That's
that.
why he's like making it clear he's not in a fight with them.
Okay.
Well, other things that matter include an Insider's Hour with the Show Me Institute this Thursday. So you'll want to stay tuned. Well, hopefully you'll be with us all morning. And if you have to
Is that
intermittently
11 a.m.?
listen, make sure you check in at 7:35 when Brenda Talent joins us. And she'll talk about that Insider's Hour. So we'll do that. And a lot of other stuff going on the program, including some Mamdani monstrosities and lots more on Wake Up Missouri, the Daily DC Rundown coming up.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
J.D. Vance will lead the U.S. delegation in Pakistan on Tuesday. President Trump warned Iran again to take a deal, writing, "We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal."
Well, with all of the chaos and the back and forth going on, let's see what John has with the daily D.C. rundown.
Yep, the Iranian regime saying today they have no plans to attend the peace talks in Pakistan with the top three negotiators, like they reported, Vice President J.D. Vance among them. Tehran calling it unreasonable and unrealistic demands by the White House. Standoff over the Strait of Hormuz intensified over the weekend as U.S. forces fired on and then seized that Iranian vessel, and with Tehran refusing to accept diplomacy amid the ongoing blockade of its ports and exports. National Republican Congressional Committee, House Republicans' campaign arm, touting a record-breaking fundraising haul to start the 2026 midterms. Chairman Richard Hudson said the committee raised $47 million in the first 3 months of this year, the largest amount ever for the NRCC in the first quarter of any year. And the president's folks reporting he will take part in a public Bible reading this week as the administration continues to integrate religion, particularly Christianity, into official business, and that'll happen tomorrow, about 6 o'clock. Video message from the Oval Office.
Wow.
America reads the Bible. So, how about that?
Trump is reading the tea leaves of America. There is a revival afoot, and I think he's wisely going to, I guess, lead from in front on this. Maybe I don't know whether this is going to be a one-off or this be some kind of a new trend. You know, George Bush didn't he hold a morning prayer thing with his inner circle? I believe so. I think he did that.
I can't recall,
I think so.
but I think Trump, ever since he got shot in the ear, has had a religious awakening.
That is literally a come to Jesus, huh? When something like that happens.
That would technically be a come to the doctor. Not Jesus. Come to the doctor.
I still, every time I see Trump, if there's any kind of a close-up, I'm looking at the ear. I'm looking at the pinna.
Oh, you are?
I'm like,
Can you see
I don't
any?
see, where's the scar? I'm just, I don't know.
Ears are pretty, like, his kind of pink, and it wouldn't be prominent, I don't think, would it?
Oh, I'm sure he had some
he can fix that.
pretty talented
plastic
surgeons standing by.
Remember when he came out at the Republican convention? He had his ear dressing on, looked like an envelope on his ear. That was great. Remember that moment
that was
when
the next day.
Remember
That's
when
why.
I know. Remember when he walked out there, and I mean I don't recall such a affectionate, warm welcome from any crowd for any person that I've ever seen. It was amazing. That was something else. Can you imagine being that close, brushing that close with death, and in that kind of a prominent position? You know, he doesn't have any trepidation about going out to big events anymore. He went out to the UFC fight the other day, you know. Now, I'm sure that they're screening people stuff too, but, you know.
I bet he drives the Secret Service crazy.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, sir.
That swearing in got moved inside, though, the second inaugural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That was one big difference.
But, you know, I saw a story about 3D printers the other day and the things they can print, and you think they can print guns that, you know, are not metal, and you wonder, how are they detected? I don't know. It always gives me the creeps anytime I see him in a big public setting, and I see him and I think about that day. We all remember where we were, what was happening that day. Well, I'm thankful he is getting in touch with Christianity and reading the Bible. Good for him. When we come back, we're going to ask Jen, why is it that young men are looking for sugar mamas? On Wake Up Missouri.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump? The people
Brenda Talent with Show Me Institute to get her perspective on the General Assembly. You know, we talked to Cindy O'Loughlin on Friday. Cindy will be back with us this Friday as well, as things are heating up in the General Assembly, as we are now in the last few weeks,
time.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Last, 3 weeks? Is that right?
Yep, 15th of May.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about the budget passing. I haven't heard. I've heard very little about that. I guess that's the next big hurdle, right? They have to get that done. So, Jen, explain this. We talk a lot about the changing culture of dating, and we've talked about online dating apps and how they've changed the whole dating scene.
Don't motion to me when you say that.
Drake likes to weigh in on that. I don't know. When I was dating, it's like there was the thing called a telephone, or you meet someone in person.
You had those back then?
Yeah, I didn't date around. Helene and I were in the band in high school. It was like juniors in high school. We started dating. I didn't have to get involved with that whole thing. But so, what's this about? Young guys are looking for cougars. Is that right, Jennifer? What's going on?
Well, the article starts out, recently my 52-year-old friend and colleague separated from her husband, and so I made her a dating profile, and the response from men in their 30s was overwhelming. That's kind of encouraging to hear, ladies, right? According to this dating app, the number of men exclusively interested in women older than themselves has grown 64% in the last 2 years, and that's particularly true for the 18 to 25-year-old bracket. So 18 to 25-year-olds looking to hook up with women, I don't know, in their 40s or whatever. Women are using all these products and surgeries to stay looking younger, and they're nicer. They don't just ghost you. They're not just expecting you to earn more money, and after your money, they just seem to feel more confident and validated with older women. And I guess the older women get the benefit of having a young man coming to her and chasing after her. That's interesting.
Could it be that we've heard about how women are dominating graduate schools? They're beginning to dominate the CEO, the C-suite. I mean, they're having certainly a lot of leadership roles for women, and a lot of money, being made by women as they're graduating at higher rates. They're in graduate schools, moving on to great corporate careers. Could it be that they are looking, once they've already swept up the eligible guys that are of like mind and maybe like education or whatever, and there's just not any guys? There's not any. The pool of 30-year-old guys is all dried up. So they're looking for a different pool. Maybe
they're looking for a different pool, but maybe they're like, when they're that young, they're not ready to get married yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Women, is this weird to say? This one line is like, help them not grow up, but like, yeah, they'll move on, become men or whatever, move on to younger women that they'll have kids with.
Well, we have heard about how men, because for a number of reasons, are spending more time living with their parents and finding their way in life. It seems to be happening at later ages than it did at an earlier time in our country, for various reasons. And so maybe they're looking for someone to help them subliminally. They're not even aware of it, but they realize they've got to pull themselves up by their young bootstraps, get together with an older gal who's sort of got more maturity and
nicer,
yeah.
But more money to pay for her share.
What say you, Drake?
This is so hilarious just listening to you guys, because you're so off the mark. It's only for a notch in your belt. It's nothing more than that.
Maybe, yeah.
No, 100%. I have never met a man who is like, I'm starting to see this woman. Yeah, she's 20 years older. She might be the one. No, it's a notch in your belt. I mean, you throw the, I didn't know you had a sister line at them, or, are you still in college? Oh, and then they're like,
if you think about it,
40 years old.
It's nothing really new. I mean, think about that old movie, The Graduate, with Dustin Hoffman, right?
There you go.
Think about that,
But not when she's chasing after him. This is new.
She's chasing after him. What?
In The Graduate.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true.
But in this, it's not like the cougar coming after you. These young men are flooding, maybe for notches on their belt, the benefit. They're like, well, what's the upside for the women? Because I question that too. Apparently,
Never has a man thought of that. I'm
amazing
sorry, Jen.
SEX is the benefit to the women that they're having in their middle age now.
Tim sends us a text at 573-874-9390. Money, 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 money. Money. Oh, Bruce
Yeah, I
says,
think that could be a lot of it playing into it. I think Drake's got on the money, too, for a lot of guys going, hey, guess what?
yeah.
Oh, there's this song.
Really? How old?
Stories at the bar and in the locker room.
Yep.
There's a song called Older Women Are Beautiful Lovers,
Make
apparently,
beautiful
according
lovers, yeah.
to Bruce, who texted in that. I've not heard that song. I kind of want to hear that one.
It all goes back to 2002 when Roddy McDowell
That's what I
wrote
just
and
said.
released the song Older Women Are Beautiful Lovers. That's right. There you go. Ronnie McDowell. I don't know Ronnie McDowell. As opposed to Roddy McDowell.
Drake, we need
who was
new
in
bump
Planet
music.
of the Apes. I think. One of our listeners says, I think some younger men are just looking for a mom. She makes more money. She can take care of everything. She can guide his decisions. It gives women an opportunity to be nurturers if they focused on their careers, and now they're looking for that type of relationship. Interesting.
The breakfast after has to be amazing compared to normal hookups. I got to
Don't just assume that. I don't know.
I got my money on that. It's amazing, Jen. I don't know.
You're assuming there is a breakfast after it. I'd be
Yeah,
like,
no
okay,
kidding.
see you later. Go back to your dump of apartment. I'll stay here in mine.
Here's $10. Get an Egg McMuffin on the way out. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah, maybe the Pope will weigh in on this one, too.
Never know. Oh, we got another text. A text from Danny who said,
Yeah.
Tell Drake the Pope can do no wrong because from day one he pointed out he was not a Cubs fan but a White Sox fan. There you go, Cardinal Nation.
Yeah, Cardinals are winning 5 games now.
5. Yep.
Yeah, they're doing better. But what?
Ex earnings last night.
Oh, did you see that? There was a story that posted. Mom Donnie was hugging Mr. and Mrs. Met.
Yeah,
Did you
now
see
they
that?
haven't won since.
And they haven't won since. They've lost 11 games now since.
Well, Mom Donnie, speaking of Mom Donnie, where we're going to talk about his celebration of tax day. He's all excited to tax the rich.
Yeah, so Mom Donnie is doubling down on that. And here's one of the things he posted. Now, he and Hochul, after Hochul said she didn't want to raise taxes on the rich, she and Mom Donnie are now aligned on this.
When I ran for mayor, I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate, but who don't actually live here.
A pied-à-terre, P-I-E-D-de-terre. I've never heard of that. Pied-à-terre.
Yeah, they're apartments that you don't live in, that you have in big cities, so that when you go to the big city, you have a place to stay. I don't really get the appeal. I'd rather have a nice hotel suite or something like that over a pied-à-terre. But the thing is, you're just bottoming the market out because anyone that could buy one of those is not going to now. If they're going to have like a $10 million pied-à-terre, now you're going to have to pay an extra $200,000 a year, every year, on top of the crazy prices for real estate taxes you're already paying there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, they're just going to crush the market for people to do that. And here's the thing. They're going to, as the All In podcast guys, these guys are super smart business guys. They're saying, basically, you're signaling to wealthy people that your money is not safe in blue states. But,
David Sachs has something to say about it.
It just shows, I mean, again, this tax was imposed retroactively. For example, I had my house at SF, and then they just take, a couple of rooms of it. And we talked about this on the show when it happened. But my point is just your property is not safe in blue states. And wealthy people who have a choice of where to park their money are going to increasingly realize that. And they're not going to buy. I think real estate in blue states is dangerous because the political class thinks that they can take a chunk of it. And, wealthy people are going to react to that, and they're going to move their money elsewhere.
And it's sad that any state in the United States, that anyone, wealthy or not, should feel that way, that their property and the rule of law, it's not safe, that they can retroactively just take a chunk of what you've purchased. But it is going to chase real estate. It's going to drive out real estate in Florida, and it's going to crash out real estate somewhat in New York City. And they just assume that the rich people will stay. How much do they have to learn from Amazon's founder and different founders like that? The Starbucks founder moves out of state.
Yeah.
Like, you've lost Tesla's founder. You've lost California's lost all these because you're just targeting these wealthy people who, by the way, have been paying way more taxes for all this time. Now, not only are you not getting their wealth tax or their chunks of their property, but you're also not getting the taxes that they were paying year after year. And it takes a lot to motivate people like that to move out of your state, but you're doing it and you're succeeding. And it's a disservice to your state that you're doing it because you're losing an important part of your tax base.
Isn't it interesting that a lot of these people that move out are leftists, and you'd think they would be more than willing to support to walk the talk, right? They talk a lot about progressivism.
Yeah,
and
the Starbucks founder.
And
like,
redistribution of wealth and, one payer healthcare system and, all that. But yet when it comes a matter to them, ponying up more, not so much. Not so much. I think I'll move to Tennessee or Florida or Texas or maybe Missouri someday if we don't get punished for making money here.
And then why is the mayor of New York doxing a billionaire's house and showing in the age where he just had Sam Altman had a firebomb thrown in his house? He has little kids there. He's doxing and saying this is where Ken Griffin, this billionaire hedge fund guy, lives. Yeah. You're just asking for trouble doing something like that. If something happens to that resident, it's on Zohran's hands. But this guy has given, Ken Griffin has given hundreds of millions of dollars to hospitals and everything else in New York City, too. So it's not like he's not helping that community. He pays all the taxes and he gives tons of his wealth away, too. Yeah. And is Zohran appreciative? Not one little bit.
Nope, not one bit. And this class warfare thing, it worked for Clinton for a little while, but then it didn't work for him, right? When the Newt Gingrich revolution and the contract with America came along, the budget was finally balanced. And why was it balanced? It was balanced on Medicaid reform, on regulatory reform, on tax reform, which Clinton in his first term really put on steroids. And guess what happened? The internet boom and all kinds of, growth in our GDP. Well, when we come back, I know that your keto is popular, but maybe just a couple veggies on the plate when we come back on Make Missouri Healthy Again.
It's
Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri on Make Missouri Healthy Again. Drake, you want to live longer?
I could take it or leave it
John,
at
you
this
want to
point.
live longer? Jen, you want to live longer?
Sure. If I'm healthy.
That's Jennifer. She's in for Stephanie. She wants to live longer. Switching to an optimal plant-forward diet. I'm not putting on the moo thing and wearing the toga and, doing the, the vegan thing here. If you want to be vegan, that's fine. Not asking for that. But overall, a plant-based diet can
Make
lower
you feel like you live
all-cause
longer?
mortality by 20%. And some new studies looking at biomarkers of DNA aging, large studies looking at thousands and thousands of people, are suggesting that, especially, we've heard about the RFK, MAHA. I agree with it totally in terms of eat real food, no doubt about it. But it's definitely true. Whether you look at biomarkers, you look at good studies looking at overall longevity, incorporating those whole grains, but I even prefer over that vegetables like colorful green, leafy, purple, yellow, red, green vegetables and non-starchy vegetables and some fruits as well into your diet. Go ahead and eat your clean, lean proteins. But there appears to be there is solid evidence, it's indisputable, that those populations, and it accrues to the American population as well, that are, maybe changing out a little bit of the animal fat, let's say a lot of the animal fat, for more vegetables. You're going to live longer. You're going to have a better chance, whether it's from cancer or from cardiovascular disease, of not being bit by one of those problems, at least before your time. Beans, nuts, whole grains, and reducing especially processed meats and red meats. And it's not so much the meat, although the heme in the meat, the iron in that meat gets oxidized. And so the things that are in meats, while there are some benefits, obviously protein is good, and everyone's on a protein push right now, and I think that's important. But along with that protein comes some other elements that can harm parts of your body if you don't incorporate more vegetables. So look, on your plate, make sure that along with that protein that you're enjoying, that there are some great vegetables that are prepared well and, cooked as little as possible, because that preserves the antioxidants, the immune boosters. A lot of people talk about, I'm going to do a detox. I'm going to do, what's detox? You want the most detoxifying things in the planet? They're in vegetables. That's where you see these commercials for Balance of Nature and fruits and veggies in a capsule. We take those. We take them. But it's more of a safety net. We eat mounds and mounds of vegetables, right? Because I don't know. I'm convinced the evidence is there. So, Jennifer, what's on your plate most days? A lot of veggies and little protein? A lot of protein,
I thought
little
of
veggies?
you last night, Randy,
Huh?
because I had steamed firecracker Brussels sprouts.
Oh, lovely.
They were actually really good.
Yeah,
But
good for you.
I need to eat more fiber in my diet. Nothing I like to eat has fiber in it. I look at the back, zero fiber.
and that's
less than
another
2% fiber.
On the First America News this morning, I heard coming in, and you heard it too, that colon cancer has been on the increase. It's gone from 3 in 100,000 to 4 in 100,000, mostly on the back of people under 50. Many times we're hearing about it under 45 when that colon cancer screening is now recommended. And what keeps the colon cancer away? Keep the fiber on your plate.
Broccoli.
And for women, especially, those cruciferous vegetables like your Brussels sprouts and your broccoli, they change the metabolism of estrogen to a more friendly estrogen and may reduce your breast cancer risk as well. Veggies are your friend.
I wish they tasted better.
Back with more Wake Up Missouri after.
Meantime, we're also hearing from the Iranians that they, according to state media there, have started rebuilding their stockpile of weapons ahead of that deadline.
Has Donald Trump been played like so many other presidents? The ceasefire, according to Fox News' Alex Hogan and her reporting, allowed the Iranians to get their stockpiles rebuilt, and they're in the process of doing that. Are they being supplied by Russia, by China? Don't know. They have. Here's where we are. Here's where we are currently on this Monday morning on Wake Up Missouri. After everything was apparently open, and the talks were going to proceed, and a deal was in the offing when we left you on Friday. Over the weekend, elements in the leadership, as Jennifer Bukowski, Info Staff, said earlier, fractious elements said, not so fast. We have no semblance of a deal. In fact, you have breached a deal the ceasefire led to, or that led to the ceasefire, because you have initiated a blockade. And then now we're hearing that with the ceasefire ending on Wednesday, J.D. Vance being sent to negotiate, but the Iranians saying not only are we not going to negotiate, but we are going to retaliate for the commandeering of a Iranian-flagged cargo ship.
Okay.
So everything's in flux. It's almost like we're back to square one with the recalcitrant Iranians saying, no deal, we're never backing down, never, 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 never. Iranians channeling Winston Churchill.
It's
never give up, never give up,
one,
never
Randy.
give up.
Their Navy is at the bottom half of the ocean. They have no Air Force. A ton of their leadership has been taken out. It's not back to square one. And yeah, they might have had time to stockpile, but we have too. So I think we've been able to make our position stronger in the region as well. And we just took out one of their oil tankers that was trying to flout the blockade. Didn't work out for them. So it's like, is it really that what position of strength? It's like the knight from Monty Python, like refusing to surrender, even though we hacked off this limb.
It's just a
and
flesh
hack
wound.
Off that, yeah, I'll still kill you to the death. Like, okay, bro, okay, we'll hack off your other arm.
But the picture I'm painting is one of no real movement forward in the stated mission. I'm confident it will happen eventually. Meanwhile, the clock ticks towards midterms that are existentially important for the Trump agenda, for the America First agenda, for the conservative movement. And at what point does Donald Trump, who loves a deal, do the political headwinds tell him, I better settle for what I can settle for? I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I don't know the answer to this. He's talking again now about blowing everything up, blowing the whole nation up, he said in one of his True Social posts, if they don't come to the table and accept the deal. Well, why talk about it? Quit your talking and start your acting. Let's get her done. If that's what you're going to do it. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Do it.
Yeah, I hope we don't end up having to blow up all their bridges and power plants.
Well,
but that's
I don't know.
What he's being pushed into, basically.
Threats don't seem to work with this group.
Yeah.
It's only action. And even then, actions thus far, like you say, I think we look at this objectively and say, what do you guys don't have any leverage. What are you talking about? But the nuclear material is still there. The radical theocratic regime and their policies are still there.
Strait of Hormuz is still closed.
So nothing's
closed again.
Functionally, you can, I'm just being objective here. You can talk about all of the military victories. I think they're fabulous. But the stated goal, the stated mission objective has not been achieved. What is the next step? 573-874-9390. Let us know. What would you do? If you were advising the president, you're in the Situation Room, and he says, they're saying that I'm sending J.D. Vance over there, and they're one side of the table occupied and the other side empty. What should we do, guys? Let us know. 800-529-5572. Put yourself in the position of Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, maybe the intelligence community, and you're advising President Trump. What do you say? Jennifer?
I'm just so glad to have the partner of Israel, because that Mossad, talk about a competent intelligence agency. They've got assets on the ground in Iran that can give us a better picture of what the heck is actually happening there.
Yeah.
Hopefully we do too.
Drake, what do you advise the president?
I advise him to make an AI picture of himself as Jesus. No. No.
Is this where you play bomb, 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 bomb around?
I do think that it's time to bust out, the big boys and teach them a lesson. I don't know. I think the most surprising thing about this is the whole him telling Israel to stop bombing Lebanon.
Yeah, it's
during all
interesting.
of this.
And they weren't too happy about that.
No, I mean, they're not used to people telling them what to do. I mean, usually it's like, our motives are in the same direction, but I don't know. I'm not going to jump into the conspiracy theorists where it's like Israel runs everything. This is actually a proxy war for Israel. I'm wondering how aligned our views are, because we're trying to get deals done. We're trying to fix everything, and then we got a ceasefire. Oh wait, Israel's bombing the crap out of Lebanon. Right now.
For those though who thought that Israel's tail was wagging our dog as we got into this dispute, into this effort, I think that would be telling on them. I haven't heard those people say, well, maybe not so. Maybe Donald Trump is telling them what to do. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
This really counteracts some of that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it's time to expand the naval blockade even further. And shut down, of course, all Iranian oil, all Iranian cargo ships, and then maybe even expand that to Chinese-flagged ones.
Billions are being spent by big oil companies in South America and Africa right now to avoid Iran turmoil, according to the Wall Street Journal today.
Wow. Okay, one listener texts us, make it a parking lot. Yeah. Okay, well, we know how. I think that's perfectly clear. Bert, welcome into Wake Up Missouri. What say you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you people able to recall how this conflict started?
Yeah. What's your point?
My point is this. It was started by two real estate developers from the United States that recommended the president attack Iran. Has Iran ever attacked us?
Yes. They've attacked us.
Where have you been with our military bases and our service members having been attacked by Iran and its proxies for decades? And what about 1979 and the hostages and the Lebanese, the Lebanon Marines slaughtered? I mean, really?
Two can play that game. Why don't you go back to 1953 if you want anything accurate? Let's go back to the two people that started the war. So you have Jared Kushner and you have Witkoff that recommends to the president that we attack Iran. Do you think that those two people have America's best interest at heart? I would argue that they have another nation's interest, that they're much more interested in that, the United States. And so,
what do you mean, developing Gaza? What are you talking about?
What do you think they want to go into Iran for? Do you think that they're really worried about so-called human rights violations, which are mostly CIA covert actions?
Yeah.
See, that's just it.
All right.
No, they're not.
Whatever the United States tells us.
Well, okay.
Have any of you been
human
to
rights
Iran?
violations
No,
are by the
have you been to Israel?
By the CIA? You think the CIA is committing human rights violations in Iran against all of the women there? I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah, I know you don't know because you're only going to believe what the mainstream media tells you.
No, I believe what the Persians are telling me.
The IDF and the Mossad have infiltrated the Pentagon, the Department of State, and the CIA. But I know, just keep on listening to the mainstream media.
Well,
I have friends in Iran. They're great. They're decent people.
They are.
But you all...
And they want freedom, right?
I'm sure neither of you have been there. You've never been to Israel. And go there and spout your U.S. hegemony to those countries. Actually, go to any country. You know, we're not beloved around the world like we think we are. We have attacked the sovereign nation that did not attack the United States.
Now, Bert, I've said it before. I don't really care if we're beloved. I want to be respected. And until under Obama and under Biden, we have not been respected. And even before that. So it's about respect. It's not about love.
A Democratic or Republican ideology. We think that we're the world's cop and we have the ability that we just have the right to attack other sovereign nations. We wouldn't stand for that if other nations did the same to us, but somehow it's okay for us to do it to them.
Well, I wouldn't expect other nations to do it to us because we don't offensively start radical terrorist organizations, nor sponsor them, nor sponsor actions on other people. And if we do, we call ourselves out on it.
There. That's rich right there. And, just think about all the money that the Department of Defense and everyone else is spending on this so-called conflict. Can you two recall what the motto of our state is?
Motto of our state? No? Well, go ahead.
The motto of the state of Missouri. Do you know what it is? No, you don't know what it is. I'll tell you. The welfare of the people shall be the supreme law. When there's people in this state that are struggling, but we're having warships destroyed and we're having fighter jets shot down, being someplace that we don't even belong. Do you know how much good that money could do right here in our own state?
Well, it sounds like it sounds like you're for socialism. You're for social welfare programs, not for defense. Which is if you read the Constitution of the United States, that's the prime directive of the federal government. Hey, but thanks for the call, Bert. Appreciate it. I can tell that you're on board with this epic fury. That's good.
He's
all right.
Definitely not on board with epic fury.
Well, and
he's epically furious about it.
Look, this is, and I do appreciate Bert's call, and I think he really embodies this. This reminds me of the abortion argument. For people who are pro-abortion, the fundamental tenet of that view is they don't value the entity called the preborn human life. They just don't value it until it can breathe on its own. That's really what's at that. There's a fundamental view there. Bert and people like him fundamentally don't think that Iran is a threat to our security. Even if they have a nuke. That's the fundamental thing. Now, I think that they were developing nukes. They apparently had it developed to 60%, and you can rapidly go to 90%. 60% is enough to build, 5 or 6 bombs, according to an expert over the weekend, I heard. And we found out that they had a ballistic missile that could not only go 2,000 kilometers, but 4,000 kilometers. Diego Garcia, Bert. Diego Garcia, look it up. So they are a real threat, and they have been a threat. The embassy, the Marines.
Hezbollah,
the Houthis. Well, that was thanks, Bert. Got us all going this morning on a Monday morning. Thank you, Bert, for that call. 573-874-9390. The text 800-529-5572. We'll be back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Well, we're having an interesting discussion as the Iranian epic fury effort goes on. I don't know what else to call it. A conflict, our offensive weapon against the evil empire there, Iran, whose tentacles spread beyond the Middle East. Did you hear about the LAX, the Iranian, the wealthy Iranian gal that was, I think, was she permanent legal status, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And she was ready to board a plane at LAX at Los Angeles, and they pulled her because she's arms dealing.
Arms dealing.
She's trafficking in
women
arms.
are breaking glass ceilings all over the place.
I mean, they're dating young gals, they're arms dealing, the young guys, they're arms dealing. I'm telling you.
Middle-aged women, we're the new young men.
There you go. The young Turks. So we get a text here. You know who else has nukes, Randy? That's right. Your best friend, Israel. Do you know how they got those nuclear weapons, Randy? No, of course you don't. I think I do. Thank you. So do a little research. Look up a little town in Pennsylvania, Apollo, Pennsylvania, and then you'll begin to understand how our so-called greatest ally was able to possess nuclear weapons. Okay.
Yeah. Talk to the French, who pretty much from the ground up helped the Israelis implement their nuclear program.
There are 9 countries that have nuclear weapons. Do we want any more?
Nope, none that I can think of.
Karen says we should take the island Karg and resume killing IRGC folks and the resupply depots they claim they have. So many smart, wonderful people there. If we can find other sites than Bridges and Energy, it would be better. Well,
yeah, I agree.
Well, I don't know about that.
It'd just set them back if we do oust this regime, it would set them back quite a bit to have to rebuild all of that infrastructure.
Brett says, Bert put the crack pipe down and back away slowly.
That's referring to the caller that was yelling at us about.
We are like a
being
big.
We're in the tank for Israel, you and me.
We are like a big family, aren't we? Everyone just sort of mixing it up at the Thanksgiving dinner table. I like that. That's fun. Nathan says that dude sounds like one of the kooks that protest at Providence and Broadway on Wednesdays. Now, I don't know that Bert's kooky. He's just skeptical of our foreign actions.
Yeah.
Not everybody supports the attack on Iran.
James says, I think you guys actually are accidentally allowed a conspiracy theorist nut job on the radio. Well, Nicholas, Bert
Let's
has
be
proved
nice,
the American
guys.
education.
It wasn't an accident.
Bert's taking it. No, it wasn't an accident, actually. We just take all comers here.
No, I know a pro-Trump guy who's epically furious about this Iran situation and texting me mad epically and furiously that I need to be careful what I say in support of this because people will remember, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, well, let people remember, whatever. Hey, Joe, welcome to the program.
Good morning. Hey, how many people did Obama kill during his 8 years that he attacked 8 or 9 countries?
Yeah.
Hussein, Mubarak, Gaddafi, and there's 2 others, I believe. And the media said nothing. 8 years, Obama went around the world and attacked all kinds of countries, and nobody said a word.
Yeah, yeah.
Even killed Americans with drones. They did say something about that a little bit, but.
And he sort of he sort of was like Joe Pesci, sort of biting around the edges, a little. No, I mean, Trump's going for it, going for the gold.
Is this the proof that the Democrats are liars, or con artists, or deceivers?
All right, good question. Thanks for weighing in on Wake Up Missouri. When we come back, Brenda Talent, let's bring it back down to Missouri, where we should know the state motto.
Make Missouri great again. That's what it is.
Make Missouri great again. Brenda Talent, show me, coming up. Hey, this Thursday, there's an Insider's Hour at the Show Me Institute. Those are always a lot of, depth and insight into what's going on in the state and the things that really do impact you. And, of course, the Show Me Institute is the sponsor and the proprietor of those Insider's Hours. They do a great job. Brenda Talent does a fabulous job leading that. She's the CEO with the Show Me Institute. She joins us now. Brenda, welcome into the program. Got a big event.
Thank you for having me.
Big event this Thursday, and you're going to be talking about some topics that are right on having your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the General Assembly, right?
Yeah, our directors are going to be talking about what's going on in the Missouri legislature. As you know, they're in session. They got to wrap everything up by mid-May, so a lot of things are happening.
So let's talk about taxes. That's on everyone's mind, especially as everyone was a lot depressed on Wednesday last with tax day. So we had Senator O'Loughlin on Friday, talking about sort of a teeter-totter, ramping down on the income tax incrementally and ramping up on the sales tax as part of the grand tax plan. What are your thoughts?
Well, they've got a joint resolution that came out of the Senate, and what I would just really tell everybody, don't be worried when we talk about ramping up sales taxes. Actually, the resolution is really pretty simple. It is conceptually that we as a state would like our income tax to get to zero. And so there's a provision in there that says the legislature shall put in triggers in our statutes so that if revenues reach certain amounts, they'll ratchet down the income tax rate. If it gets to zero, the income tax can't come back. It also, and I call it a tool, it provides the legislature a tool, but doesn't require them to use it. It's a tool where the legislature can really look at modernizing our tax code. And so it would allow them, for example, to broaden the sales tax base. And one easy example is just think of it this way. You go into a bookstore, you buy a book, you pay sales tax. You go online, you buy a digital book, no sales tax. And it would be it would allow the legislature to decide to even that playing field. And in that sense, it would be broadening the sales tax base. And our economy has changed. We used to be a goods-based economy. Now we're a service-based economy. And one of the things I'd also just remind your listeners of is that actually a lot of the services we pay for, because people talk about, well, sales tax is regressive. No, a lot of the services that could be subject to tax are ones that wealthier people pay for, and that's the trade-off, right? You could trade off ratcheting down the income tax rate faster if you broaden the base. But there's nothing in the joint resolution that says you have to do that.
It just gives them permission if it's necessary.
Right. Well, it provides a tool which they can use, which, by the way, I'll remind everyone, too, that our elected officials are accountable to us. If they start doing stuff we don't like, they don't have to go back to Jefferson City.
You know, it's interesting. I remember when there was raging debate about, internet tangible goods sales and how, even though it was always law that you were supposed to report that and pay tax on it, no one did, right? But now, when you buy something on Amazon or whatever, you always see a little sales tax thing there. Okay. But that doesn't apply to digital goods yet, right?
Right. That's correct.
I didn't know that.
Okay. Under Missouri sales tax. Yeah. And we have, hundreds of tax exemptions.
Yeah.
And I will also remind individuals that we give out a lot of income tax credits, which don't necessarily serve the public good. So there's a lot of areas in which we can make our tax code wiser, smarter, more contemporary, that would make a lot of sense and that wouldn't penalize people.
That's Brenda Talent, CEO of the Show Me Institute. There's an Insider's Hour with the Show Me Institute this Thursday at noon. Thursday, April 23rd at noon, and you can register online there. You can do that. Still have room, Brenda?
Oh, we still have room.
Okay,
We'd
good.
love to see people. Elias Chapelis and Corey Cordell will be speaking. So
Great.
Elias is all things budget, and Corey's all things education.
Brenda, talking about the expanding the sales tax base, there's always that argument about it's so regressive to increase the sales tax. But when it comes to things like taxing the services of lobbyists or lawyers, I would say that that's hardly the case. It's not like people in the lower income are hiring a lot of lawyers or lobbyists.
No, exactly. And, there are some other examples of where, again, when you're looking at it, you're going to find where you say, oh, no, it's fine to tax that. We're not going to be troubled by that. And you're absolutely right, Jennifer. I mean, we're talking about lawyers, lobbyists. I mean, you could think of accountants.
Medical care, health care.
No, the governor said they're not going to do that. But.
Yeah.
And of course, it all has to be in conjunction with what federal law provides. And it's my understanding federal law prohibits taxing certain kinds of services that they're protected. So I think that, it's a complex issue, but when you talk about regressiveness, there's always ways, that you can exempt certain goods and services which you think are core to all individuals if you want to ensure that they're not being hit harder than others. I mean, there are a number of ways to do that. And so, again, I don't think we need to be afraid of it. What this joint resolution does is it provides the tools by which the legislature and the public can have that discussion about what makes sense going forward. And also, by the way, we are competing with other states that are trying to get to zero income tax, and so we're in competition for this. And I think that we need to take this seriously when we look at really our lack of economic growth compared to other states.
Brenda Talon, CEO of Show Me Institute, joins us on Wake Up Missouri. I'm Randy Tobler, Jennifer in for Stephanie, John Marsh as well.
Brenda, what are you hearing from the State House? Time's wasting over there for the session regarding fixes for the real property tax and personal property taxes in Missouri.
Well, I haven't been hearing a lot recently. I know that there are a lot of discussions on the table, and it's the same with education. I'll remind you all we have a literacy bill that, for whatever reason, I don't know, does our legislature not want our kids to read? They can't seem to get across the finish line. It's very frustrating. And, one of my concerns is we're going to see what we've seen in prior years where we get near the end and all of a sudden there are these omnibus bills where they're just, tacking everything into it. And, of course, you put the bad in with the good, and it becomes very difficult to hold people accountable for passing some of the stuff that they pass because they can come back to you and go, well, this bill had this good thing in it, and I had to vote for it. But I'm just scratching my head when I see some bills that are really, they're pretty pristine, they're pretty simple. Like, for example, we want our kids to read. Come on, Missouri.
Yeah. And that's essentially what Senator Cindy O'Loughlin said when we had her on last week. She laughed, how could anyone be against that? When I asked her, it's in the Senate now, this child literacy bill. Is this going to make it through? So when Randy has her back on Friday, we'll have to follow up and say, hey, that's going through, isn't it? Right, Randy?
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah, they need to be held accountable for that. I mean, and at the same time, for example, we had a report card grade from A to F. The governor has an executive order, which is a good executive order. And what are we seeing? We're seeing our legislators dilute it and try to confuse it. If I were a suspicious individual, I would think, does no one want to hold our schools accountable in Missouri?
Well, I'm a suspicious individual, so I wonder that. I know you do, and I do.
Let's talk a little bit about the spending side, because one of the things that I know you have said over and over, as has Elias and others we've talked with from Show Me, is, look, the predicate should not always be, hey, how do we remain revenue neutral here? We need to cut the spending side of this equation too. And Cindy talks about this performance-based budgeting. Is that a good idea? Or is that just pie in the sky? Can it go anywhere?
It could go somewhere, but you do need you need leadership and you need determination. I've talked often about we measure outputs. We're not measuring outcomes. And part of performance-based accounting, if you really did it the way that it's contemplated, is you would be measuring outcomes and you would eliminate programs that are not producing outcomes. We don't do that. I mean, one way to do it is everyone goes, oh, it's so huge. It would take so much time and effort. Well, you could do it on a staggered basis where you'd say certain departments, every 3 years this happens to them, and you can begin that process so we start streamlining and holding our executive branch accountable for how they're spending our money. The other thing we've said, which is interesting to me, that of course, it's not surprising, is to put guardrails around the growth of government. I don't know that Missourians really have a real concept about how much our government has grown just over the past 6 years. It's almost doubled in size, and that's because of all the federal money coming in. But part of what Missouri could do is begin to rein in its spending. Doesn't have to cut back on services because it could let its spending grow at a rate based upon population and some measure of inflation. But to say, if we want our government to grow bigger than this, people get to vote on it because, I don't think people know. We're getting involved in child care. We're getting involved in other areas in which government has no business getting involved. And so this is a way to say to Missouri, look, you can grow to continue the services you want, but no more than this.
Yeah.
That would also force them to prioritize their spending so that if they want to get into another area, they'd have to take it from the existing budget.
That makes too much common sense.
Final question for Brenda Talent from Show Me Institute, the CEO there. There's an Insider's Hour coming up. You can learn about it. That's on Thursday at noon in Columbia, showmeinstitute.org. Among those states, Tennessee, Florida, Texas are the ones that ring a bell in my mind every time I think about this. They don't have income taxes, but you have to pay for infrastructure for other state services and capital things. So what seems to be the secret sauce? Is it user fees? Is it sales tax? Is it prop tax? What's the magic, substitute for income tax?
It's all of the above, but it's a mixture that's wise. Now, everyone will say, well, Florida has all of these tourists, so they get a lot of money through the tourism. Texas has oil, so they have those rights. But if you look at Tennessee is a lot like us, and it is a combination of all those things. And one of the things we are talking about is when we talk about, and I'm talking about real property tax, a number of these states have property taxes that are higher than ours. We've got some of the lowest. And why? It's because the economic studies show that that's the most if you will, solid source of revenue for a state. It makes sense. Real estate is not mobile. And so they do that, and that way they don't have the income tax. The sales tax, again, they don't have as many exemptions as we do. So there's a wise way to do that balance. And one of the concerns I know that Elias has expressed is that as we're talking about these various tax changes, we need to look at the entire picture because the reality is you can't begin cutting everything and still have the services that you currently have. Something's got to give. It's a balance. And, of course, one of the ways you get there is you begin to rein in spending.
Yep. And really, our overall tax burden is not too bad. We just don't want to punish. We just don't want to punish productivity. Brenda Talent, always a delight talking with you. Thanks for your great informed counsel as well as all of your great experts. Hope folks will show up on Thursday at noon on the Insider's Hour in Columbia. Thank you.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks for having me.
John, what's coming up when we come back?
If you've got to go, you're on the go.
Oh, I know this one.
Urine luck.
I should have predicted you'd pick this.
Be back with Wake Up after this.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Except for this.
Having to pee or poop during a long road trip is now no longer a pain in the, well, you know, as the Chinese electric vehicle engineers are gearing up to roll out a fleet of cars featuring built-in toilets. Series, the auto manufacturer in China specializing in high-end electrics, has been granted a patent for an in-vehicle toilet that slides under a passenger's seat for mid-trip use. To eliminate odors, the in-car commode will come with a fan and an exhaust pipe implemented to funnel the funky smells out of your automobile. Waste will then be collected in a tank that has to be emptied manually, kind of like an RV. Toilet on the go will boast a rotating heating element that evaporates urine and dries up excrement. In-vehicle toilets, much more rare but not totally unprecedented. Our search showed a 1954 Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith limousine featuring a passenger seat pot hit Sotheby's auction for just under $150,000, and they call that leaky luxury.
Well, if anyone can build a fancy toilet, it's the Japanese.
And I hear the initial investors group are the Artemis astronauts.
Yeah.
They're toilet experts, right?
My question is, do you really want the whole procedure of this going on in a vehicle with a whole load of electric batteries and potential high voltage?
Good point. Good point.
Want to be really careful with that, Tesla, Jen.
Well, I don't know how to feel about this one. Like, I don't know if I'd want to be picked up by an Uber driver who had just taken a big poop in the car. But if they have a fan that works.
Good take.
We live in a country that has an awful lot of prosperity when this is where we're focused, right?
Well, I have had to speed before, but I have had an issue, and I'm like, if I get a speeding ticket right now, well, the cops believe me that it was kind of a personal emergency.
To get to the nearest outpost,
Pit stop.
Yep. I don't think they've probably heard that one before, though.
So what happens? There's just like a sliding gantry that comes that slides away, and there's a big one-holder sitting there. Then
I don't know. Sort of sounds like a bedpan kind of thing or something, basically.
Now, I don't know. Stephanie often talks about how she loves bidet. Do these come with a bidet or not? I mean, come on. If you're going to really do it right.
They come with a lot of the other features. They talked about the heated seats, the built-in fan. I have a Japanese toilet thing at home. It has its own
Japanese
fan. I have
toilet.
a bathroom fan, but it's got its own fan working in there.
A Japanese toilet.
They're the best.
Does it
best,
talk
Randy.
to you?
It has a
Not
fan?
mine.
Is it a fan?
There's a fan, built
It's
in it.
like a vacuum fan. Right?
Yeah, it's fanning.
Where does it exhaust to?
I don't know. Somewhere, I assume.
Geisha Toilets Incorporated. I guess that would be Chinese. No, that would be
That's Japanese. Yep. Well, what do they think of next?
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is crazy. Hey, don't forget, we're going to see you at the Ice Cream Social on the 28th, and on May 6th, Politics and Pints in Springfield. That Ice Cream Social with the Boone County Republicans, Turning Point USA in Columbia. So there's lots coming on. We'll talk about that. Top of the hour. Stay tuned.
from the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
As my uncle, President John F. Kennedy, said, progress is a nice word, but change is its motivator, and change has its enemies.
It's your morning addiction.
That those brave, courageous women are treated with dignity and respect.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Bypass the Democrats' filibuster in the United States Senate.
The Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
He's speaking this how he wants to see a deal. He wanted to see a deal before Operation Midnight Hammer. He wanted to see a deal after Operation Midnight Hammer. He continues to want to see a deal, but he is going to see his objectives completed here. The fundamental one of which is that the Iranian regime can never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon.
Well, there might be a deal in the offing if Iran shows up at the bargaining table in Pakistan tomorrow. J.D. Vance is on his way there, will be on his way there. That's the latest that we've been hearing. But the Iranians are saying not so quick. We're not in any mood to negotiate, at least someone in Iran who claims to have some authority. No one really knows. Welcome into Wake Up Missouri. Jennifer Bukowski in for Stephanie Bell, John Marsh, Trey Quitman. I'm Randy Tobler. Thanks for being here. We've been hearing a lot from you on the text line and on the phone earlier. We had a caller who said, "You got to be kidding me. What are you guys? You guys are smoking something." A lot of the texters are saying the caller was smoking something. What are you guys talking about? I mean,
and it's 4:20 and no one is in here smoking anything.
I know it's 4:20.
That day, April 20th.
I didn't know about this 4:20.
What? You've
Peter
never heard
says
of
you haven't
420?
talked
Come
about
on.
420. I have not. I kid you not. I'm not in that culture.
You're today years old when you heard about 420.
Maybe I've heard about it in the past. I don't
Okay.
remember it, but I don't.
Well, I don't know what it is either.
Wasn't
do
on
you?
my mind. Drake, tell us all about it. You're knowledgeable about that.
I actually don't know the history of 420.
Isn't that when the Grateful Dead smoked pot? It's
Why is it a
4:20 in
big
the morning
deal?
and 4:20 in the afternoon.
I don't know. I really don't. I've just known that it's a thing since I was a kid. I mean, it's just a pop culture thing.
I just said it. I think it's when it's been a pop culture thing because that's when I think it was the Grateful Dead smoked pot, 4:20 in the morning, 4:20 in the afternoon, probably right after they got up.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that's when they celebrated the legalization of marijuana in the state of California, and they all gathered initially at 4:20 in the afternoon to mark the occasion, so to speak.
Well, they did it because that's when the Grateful Dead did it. They picked that day. It started in the fall of 1971 at San Rafael High School. They called themselves the Waldos back then, and they decided to meet every day at 4:20 right after school and football practice. The code was 420 Lewis, which became shorthand for getting high. Well, they were playing football and in a band. They were well-rounded students.
There you go.
The reason I never touched this stuff is because I was in the band business as a kid, and I saw what it did to people. It didn't make them sensible. They were having fun. They were happy, but they weren't playing as well as they could.
Couldn't stay
otherwise.
on key, right, Doc?
Yeah, in college, it was like the ones that had the dirtiest rooms, that were overweight, just didn't.
I don't know.
It wasn't that attractive of a quality.
I don't know. I saw, and again, this is not uniform. There's a lot of very, very functional people that do great using that. Just like there's people that are functional alcoholics. There's people that are, whatever. People do all kind of mind-altering stuff to treat their circumstances, right? Life's tough, and people have used alcohol. They use gummies. They use whatever. Now Joe Rogan's talking about for PTSD and for some other things using what's it called? Ibogaine. You heard about this? Ibogaine, a psychedelic treatment.
Mm-hmm.
And, he apparently, he said that he called the president, and the president said, yeah, I think we ought to fast track that for FDA approval. And I guess I heard a veteran yesterday talking about that. I forget the guy's name, but he was on one of the news channels saying, I was lost in my PTSD. I was paranoid. I was always scanning. Anxious, anxiety, couldn't sleep, sleeping in his car. His family was, he was a mess. And he did the psychedelic treatment. He says it's not easy, but it facilitates a withdrawal that is long lasting, allegedly.
That's incredible because Trump said we've lost 21 times more of our service members to suicide than we did in the theater of war.
Yeah.
That's significant.
One of the 3 or 4 years ago, when Representative Tony Lovasco of suburban St. Louis introduced a measure to allow magic mushrooms to be used for vets with PTSD and some other challenges and depression and all of it. Bill never made it through, but I know he floated that several times.
Yeah, and it could be used for other people with PTSD, crime victims, different things like that as well. If you've had a trauma, it's better than, what they might otherwise do, potentially. I'm open to it, but Randy, you say there are health effects that you have to take it, so don't do it recreationally because there are some bad side effects.
This is typical news media. And it would apply to high doses of things like, ivermectin and other, things that are touted to be cure-alls for stuff, and that's fine. People want to take ivermectin, that's great. But in the doses that it takes, for instance, to allegedly do the job, there are some serious, potentially fatal cardiac arrhythmias that can happen when you use this stuff. And in fact, in some of the studies, I think there was one fatality in one of the early studies, but it's illegal outside of authorized research setting, this ibogaine. Fatalities often occur 1.5 to 76 hours after ingestion. There's a metabolite. What often gets you with these things is not the parent compound, but when your liver processes it, it's the toxic metabolite. And we're only beginning to now fully understand, I think, better that some people get that first stage of detoxification. Think of putting your trash in the trash can, but not phase 2 of the detoxification, which is getting it into the bile or the urine. There's 2 different ways to eliminate those intermediate substances. And those intermediate sort of metabolites, they're called, can be fatal. I mean, they're very toxic. And for people that have sluggish, get it out to the trash and into the dump truck, those things can build up and stink up your garage and maybe stink up your metabolism, right? So it may be that certain people that take these things, that for most are safe, if they've got some metabolic genetic issue that we don't know about it, you give them this stuff. Or if they're on other drugs, this particular arrhythmia is one. It's interesting. There's an interval from the time that your ventricle contracts, the big strong contraction that sends blood out to your body, to when it resets for the next contraction. That's called the QT interval on an EKG. And that can be lengthened. And when that exceeds a certain interval, it increases the risk of a lethal arrhythmia. So, Rogan didn't talk about that. Now, maybe he did. But in fairness, I think I'm hoping that the scientists under Marty McCary and others at the FDA will look at this. And certainly, I mean, look, if you're on the route to suicide from your PTSD, it probably is worth, under a research setting, considering with all the risks and the benefits and making some decision-making discussions, it might be worth a try under, very carefully
Doctor's
monitored.
care, right?
But, I just see this with a lot of things that people are doing that are now generally available. I think of, there's a lot of things going on in the retailization of medicine. It's good on the one hand because people have choice. It's bad on the other hand because all you hear is from people that are marketing this stuff. You only hear about the positives. You don't hear about the negatives or the potential negative. So ibogaine. Yeah, Joe Rogaine. I think of Rogaine. It's stuff for the hair to make your hair grow.
Well, it didn't work on him.
No, it didn't work on him. Joe Rogan. If Rogan says it, watch out. Is Rogan still on the Trump train or not? He sort of jumped off, didn't he, recently?
Well,
no?
Yeah, I think
it's
been up and down, but he was at the White House over the weekend.
Yeah.
And Trump is out there speaking at Turning Point in Arizona Friday night after being in Vegas that morning with that huge picture with the boom mic, you know.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then he's Saturday morning, he's doing this, expediting the treatment for PTSD. And then he's having a situation room meeting on a Saturday, which is highly unusual, about Iran. So busy guy.
I hope like a thief in the night, he just does what he wants to do without warning anymore. I mean, it's especially if they don't show up. You said it earlier, Jen. Jen's in for Stephanie. If they don't show up at the bargaining table, I wonder if Trump's just going to pull the trigger and say, enough. I'm done with you people. I've given you enough chance.
I think that's where we're headed.
At some point, we cannot. I just keep thinking of that scene out of Indiana Jones, when the guy comes out, the Arab comes out with the saber, and he's all swashbuckling, and he just pulls
shoots.
it. Do you know how that came about?
I do.
Do you know? Did you hear about how that happened?
He was sick, wasn't he?
He wasn't feeling well. He was sick, and it was like one of these. Get it over with. I think it was like an ad lib kind of a deal, and it worked out great. It was one of the great moments. Now, I got to ask this question. Is Kash Patel heading the way of Pam Bondi? Listen.
Disease Temple over 20 and 30 years. We've got all the evidence. I can announce on your show that we've got all the information we need. We're working with our prosecutors at the Department of Justice and their Attorney General Todd Blanche, and we are going to be making arrests, and it's coming, and I promise you it's coming soon.
So yesterday on Bartiromo's show, Kash Patel talking about the Russia hoax. And later on in the interview, he said they're going to do the election integrity whole thing, fold that all in. Is he on the way to a Pam Bondi? Is he going to pull another Pam Bondi? Overpromise and underdeliver?
Oh, I thought you were saying, is he going to get fired?
Well, this could get you fired if you're saying on a national television show that the things that MAGA has been asking for, prosecution of the people.
No, I think something's coming, Randy. Did you see
I don't know,
Trump's post on Truth Social reposting? I played it on my show yesterday, an Elon Musk thing. And it's a video showing Hillary Clinton holding her hand up and swearing in. Shifty Schiff.
Adam Shifty Schiff.
All of these guys, and it's over it. It's I'll pull it up for you, what he posted. It's it's the audio about the lion sometimes has to show the hyenas who he is. And it says the hammer of justice is coming.
Well, I hope so.
So Elon seems to know something. Kash seems to know something. Trump is signaling that the hammer of justice is coming, that they're going to make a move on this whole, hoax thing. And there will be accountability for it, and there should be.
That's part of what got Donald Trump elected was some justice, some accountability for what was an unbelievable miscarriage of justice against him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you had James Brennan, Jim Comey, who's the other guy? Clapper. These guys lied to Congress.
Yeah, and they cost us so much of Trump's first term in office and potentially his second.
He wasted
Biden coming in, wasted so much time.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Kash, I hope you deliver, man. Hope so. Hey, let's check and see what the markets are going to deliver. I'm not sure in the wake of the retraction of all the good news that was coming out of Iran on Friday if, the markets are going to look good. But Jennifer will let you know on the Morning Bell. Stay tuned.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Time for the Morning Bell with Jennifer Bukowski.
Let's start with Friday's market close. Wall Street ended the week on a strong note with all three major indices posting solid gains, and the S&P 500 and NASDAQ Composite both closing at record highs. The Dow Jones Industrial finished at 49,447, up 868 points, 1.8%. The S&P closed up. All of them closed up. But looking ahead today, stock futures are trading modestly lower this morning. Dow futures are down about 0.3%, while the S&P 500 and NASDAQ futures are also pointing to a slightly softer open. If you look at the key commodities, oil is trading around $88 a barrel after surging more than 5% overnight, and it still sits at roughly 41% higher than this time 1 year ago. Gold is at $4,810. That's up more than 40% compared to a year ago. But Bitcoin is at $75,200. That's 13% lower than it was 12 months ago. So that's your morning report. The Bukowski Bell report.
You know, I'm actually pleasantly surprised that oil hasn't jumped back up more than it has, right? Because, I mean, again, it sounds like might as well be last Thursday or Wednesday before the whenever it was before the.
Can you imagine if we
blockade.
didn't deal with Venezuela first? I bet they would be higher.
Yeah. Oh.
Brent's up to 95 a barrel today.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Brent
so they're kind of bouncing back 5-6%.
Yeah. Well, and yesterday, during their day, our night, there was resumption of hostilities. We seized a ship, blew out their engine room on an Iranian-flagged cargo ship. This was after the Iranians had fired on, was it a tanker? Didn't they fire? The Iranians fired
first. It seems like this ceasefire we're in is a little bit fiery.
Yeah, they fired on 3 vessels. I think a couple of them were flagged by India. I don't remember what the other one was.
But that audio you played at the open of the show, Randy, I thought was interesting because they're like, you vacate your engine room now. We are going to destabilize your ship. I'm like, they are really assuming they can speak English very, very well. If you're using a warning like that, we're going to fire a destabilizing missile, exit your, something like that. I was like, wow, that's some high level English they're expecting them to be able to pick up on and act on immediately.
Well, English is the de facto language of not only aviation internationally, but also shipping.
Yeah, so they probably do speak it, but...
Yeah, well, they warned them.
I would be like, get out now from engine, just to make sure.
They disabled the vessel without sinking the vessel. So we can, with that kind of precision, take out the engine room but not sink the ship. That's fascinating to me. I didn't realize we had that ability.
Yeah, and they use their 5-inch gun on it, too, which is the biggest gun the destroyers and the cruisers have on them.
The really long ones, like the cannon type things?
The one that's in the forward turret that you see when
those things are huge. You don't realize how big they are when you see pictures of the ships, but then when you're actually around one, you're like, my goodness, this is a big gun.
And then the Marines left the USS Tripoli by helicopter. They transited over the Arabian Sea and they seized this Tuska, it's called the Tuska vessel, Iranian flag vessel. Wow. That's amazing. That's just amazing. When we come back, the United Arab Emirates are on our side, and I think it's instructive for us to remember that Trump is playing 3D, 4D, 5D chess all the time, and there's more than just that uranium. I think we can guarantee that. Maybe it's that old neighborhood watch. That when we come back.
Well, in 40 days, we were attacked a little over 2,800 with 2,800 missiles and drones. And for us, it's very clear that they've chosen to go down this path because we are everything that they're not. We're a model of economic prosperity. We have 200 nationalities that live there. We have religions and cultures from all around the world. We used our oil wealth to build an economic powerhouse. They used their wealth for nuclear programs that are nefarious, for missiles, drones, proxies, etc.
Well, there you go. That's the United Arab Emirates Minister of State. And she lays it out very clearly. We use our wealth to, I'll paraphrase, westernize. They use their wealth for nefarious nuclear purposes. And they are throwing, do you know they've thrown more, the Iranians have thrown more stuff, more, military assets and offensive weapons at the UAE than they have Israel. And drones included in that, at least according to one report I saw. And she said it clearly. That's because they are not us. And I think this is maybe part of Donald Trump's larger objective is to expand those Abraham Accords, show people that by projecting power, you can maintain the peace. Pax Americana, if you will. And if you want to join into that kind of an idea and use your wealth for the betterment of mankind rather than for destructive terrorist purposes, come on in, join the club. Here's your membership card.
Well, they don't give out membership cards, Randy. Their population is 11.5 million people, but 90% of that is from other countries. And they're working the service jobs, doing the construction. Only like 10% are Emirati citizens. So they let you come there and work, but only 10% are citizens. But yeah, they have Abu Dhabi as their capital. They've got Dubai, which is a very cosmopolitan, bustling city. So it's actually the country where these Islamist people go with their girlfriends to have fun, and the girls dress like Westerners and
I'm just
wear
saying,
dresses and look sexy in public.
I'm talking about Trump wanting to give a membership card to anyone who wants to join in the peace movement.
Oh, not the okay.
Yeah, not
I see
for
what
UAE.
I thought you meant that they're welcoming
to countries.
the world.
No,
people.
Trump is saying to the Arab nations, like he did in the Abraham Accords. I mean, look, you have the Israelis, even though they may be holding their nose, and to their domestic audience saying we were brought kicking and screaming to the table with Lebanon, but they are. And the Israelis back in the day talked with Egypt, and then now they're talking with the Saudis.
I thought there was an interesting news piece over the weekend that talked about, initially it started out as a piece talking about how long will it take the U.S. to rearm all their, anti-aircraft, anti-missile missiles and all that. And the spinoff take on that was that the folks who are going to have to wait to be rearmed are going to be the NATO members who aren't cooperating. And the administration said, we're going to rearm the Mideast states first, and then NATO can, even canceling some of the contracts with some of the NATO countries on some of the, or postponing the contracts until they get the Gulf states and Israel rearmed, and us.
I have to compliment Donald Trump on the fact, I mean, he's been a little late to the game with consequences here, but I think the consequences are so severe on the Iranian people, including those who are on our side, if he destroys bridges and power plants, right? So I think that's why he's delayed. But in pretty much every other venue, he's been a consequential, decisive, resolute president. And that's important when you lead. There has to be consequences. There has to be accountability for misbehavior.
Yeah.
And too many of our presidents have they've capitulated. They've Neville Chamberlained it, right? And he hasn't done that. And
as a parent, you can understand sometimes it'd just be easier to ignore it than to have to actually deal with it and then follow through with dealing with it. So
I've said it before. The parental mistakes we made along the way, I think we got better the more kids we had. Of course, the third kid would argue with that. Sammy would argue. But we started to learn that, you're better off to just make them pay the consequence early, even though they may miss that softball tournament, even though they may miss a dance tournament, even though they may. But man,
You'd have your kid miss softball and dance as punishments?
Well, if they didn't do something, and I told them if you don't do something, you're not going to go to the baseball. But initially I didn't. I would threaten it, but then I wouldn't follow through because I don't know. That's where you have to sort of count to 10 before you make the threat.
Yeah.
Sometimes Trump doesn't do that. And I think we've all been there when we've in the heat of the moment, you make a unrealistic consequence, out of proportion to the offense. But that aside, I mean, I think it's always better to head it off at the early pass rather than to deal with the consequences later. Once an attitude of, hey, I can push this. I think that's what's happened in general with law and order in our country. Look at Hauswirth. John, Don, report all the time on people that are left off the hook for, quote, minor offenses, and then a little less minor offense, and a minor major offense, and then not so bad of a, and then next thing you know, they're raping someone or killing them, and they've been left off the hook. That's a problem when you don't have a consequential method of accountability, and you don't follow through. I read this gal. Did you hear that this gal, in case you're just joining us, we talked earlier, this Iranian, who I think has permanent legal status, was pulled off of a plane or right before she boarded because she's arms trafficking, right?
Yeah.
And I heard that the Fox News this morning said that she would only be eligible for 20 years. Isn't that called treason? Well, I guess, does treason apply? I guess you have to be a U.S. citizen to be charged with treason. I would think 20 years, I'd throw away the key. I'll pay another $3 a year for taxes, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Throw away the key. 20 years, that's all?
I would highly doubt that. I mean, I would double check that because you can always stack it if she's got more than one count.
Oh, stacking the charges.
Yeah. I mean, they have plenty to work with to wield over her.
Grant has a... Grant, thank you for granting us your presence on Wake Up Missouri. Thanks for the call.
Oh, hey, I really appreciate it, and you're welcome.
What's up?
I just want to comment on the idea about people who do bad things being held accountable and how the president seems to be, pretty good about it. You just said that, right? So,
generally.
Generally. There's these Epstein files that Congress voted on that the president still hasn't released, that his administration still hasn't released. And there's a bunch of bad people who have done very bad things in there. And last I heard, we were bombing Iran instead of releasing the Epstein files. But that's a bunch of bad people who are being held accountable, right, Randy?
Well, we could do both, couldn't we? Couldn't we bomb Iran by the way, there's
released millions of pages.
6 million pages.
Yeah.
Todd Blanche said it the other day. They've been released.
Is Todd Blanche the guy that was Donald Trump's personal defense attorney?
Oh, I've had problems with that. I called that out early on. I mean, Todd may be a decent guy, but I don't think that on the face of it doesn't look good when your personal attorney, especially when we on the right criticized Eric Holder for being Barack Obama's wingman. I mean, that didn't look good, right? So I agree with you there, Grant. Thank you for calling. Well, we have interesting callers this morning. It's like sort of
I'm loving it.
Some sardonic calls, right? I'm not saying everything. I've been one of Trump's harshest critics.
I'm so over the Epstein thing. You want to tell me this whole time you think that there's been some smoking gun on Trump, a career-ending bullet. I've talked about this on my show, that they've got on Trump that they didn't use. When you see how fast they took out Swalwell, that dude's completely done in less than a week.
Yeah. On the other hand,
there's no way that there's some secret bullet about Trump.
But Jennifer, I think
Epstein or anything else.
The reason people are suspect that there are people getting off the hook here is because people do get off the hook, it seems, when they're well-heeled, well-connected, and powerful and wealthy. Jim Comey, James Clapper,
Epstein
John
for a
Brennan,
while.
Epstein.
Swalwell.
And I think that we see that a lot. When we talked with Brenda Talent earlier on the program, talked about, sales tax and should it accrue to lawyers and, legal services. Well, is that going to take away the ability of the little guy who already struggles to pay for legal services to again be carved out of the justice system because they don't have the money to pay for it if they're going to be taxed on top of the hourly rates, right? I, for one, I've thought more about this. I would like to see the court system more populistized. By that I mean, what is the current limit on small claims? What is it, 5,000?
Yeah, it should be 25.
It should be 30, 50, 75. It should be about what it would cost you to hire a lawyer, because if I've heard it once in my life, I've heard it a million times. It's like, well, the lawyer told me, hey, it's going to cost you more to litigate this.
Tell your legislators. You just need them to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't the legislators take the bull by the horns and just fix it? And
they don't care enough about that issue. I mean, it's not like a pressing one, I guess,
but
it's a good idea.
Do lawyers dominate the legislature?
No, I wish that we had more lawyers in the legislature. That would help.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't. But I mean, why shouldn't the common guy be able to say, I have a beef with citizen A, business person B, and judge, I'm going to present my evidence.
Yeah.
The hell with all the.
Technically, you can.
Well, you have to file. We're going to have a meeting to set a hearing for an extension of the meeting to set a hearing for the. I mean, that kind of stuff goes on all the time, and the little guy just doesn't have the money to pay for that. Now, if you start taxing it, it's going to even take more legal services. Now, I'm talking to someone who was helping people who didn't have an ability to pay. You had a foundation, right, for that?
Well, yeah, I've throughout my career helped
throughout
indigent
your career, you did
people
that, right.
defend themselves from the government.
Right. But I just
pro bono.
At any rate, I see why people like Grant and others are very suspicious that there's someone that didn't get prosecuted because, but my God, we've had Democrat administrations, we've had Republican. Well, maybe it is the Uniparty protecting the Uniparty's important, connected, well-heeled people. That's possible. That's in the universe of possibilities. Could be. When we come back, we're going to wrap it up with leftovers and something on the Obama music. This is disturbing. Obama, the person, the president for the people, when we're talking about affordability.
I think he's setting himself up to fail on this one.
If you're planning a museum trip, you'll want to listen up after this.
It's Wake Up Miss.
Back on Wake Up Missouri, Jennifer's in for Stephanie. I'm Randy. John Marsh there and Drake Whitman. We're Wake Up Missouri. Thanks for being so active on the phones and the texts all morning. Let's see what's on Jen's leftover plate. This Obama museum has you a little worked up, huh?
Well, I wonder if he's going to crash and fail from this, because guess how much they're going to charge to go into the Obama Presidential Library and Museum when it opens.
Wasn't he the populist president, the president of the people? You didn't build this?
Yeah.
Or they didn't build this, you built this, he said, right? The man didn't build this, you built this, right? The little people did. How much are they charging for a ticket at the new Presidential Center Obama Museum?
$30 a person.
Wow.
Which adds up if you have 4 people.
Drake's already asked for the day off on June 19th when it opens.
Ooh.
Right, Drake?
Absolutely.
Be standing first in line.
Is that Juneteenth that they're doing that?
Juneteenth.
I think it is.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Luckily, he made that a holiday so people have off. And the government workers that are most likely as demo to target for this thing will have the day off.
This might be a stupid Drake question, but what even's in a presidential library? What's the deal? What's in there?
Trump's is going to be really cool. You're going to walk into the first floor of this Miami, like by the ocean thing, and you're going to see Air Force One and a golden escalator taking you up to a model of the Oval Office. So it's cool stuff like that. The Lincoln one in Springfield, Illinois is really cool. They have animatronics. They have like a whole hall of how horribly he was attacked by the press, which is, I spent a good amount of time in there. Just all kinds of exhibits of what was going on during his presidency. So I imagine that Obama, it'll be similar things. They'll probably have an exhibit about taking out bin Laden and different exhibits talking about different challenges he faced during his presidency. They'll probably have a theater with some sort of movie in there and a shop, of course, to buy stuff that's probably very overpriced, like the tickets for admission.
$30 for an adult ticket.
The only one I've ever been to is the Truman Library in Independence. It's pretty cool because it has an exact full-size replica of the Oval Office in it.
That is cool. Trump's is going to have that, too.
That actually does sound cool. I might have to stop by. Where is it at? The Obama one?
In Chicago.
Oh, yeah. I'm taking a day trip up to Chicago.
Go to Independence. Go to the Truman Library.
Yeah, you can take that, what is it, 67 straight over?
Why would they charge 59% higher than the average price for all presidents since John F. Kennedy?
Really? I know
Obama's like money. I don't know.
Truman and Bess are buried at the Presidential Library in Independence.
Huh.
Now, the Reagan Library has Air Force One, right?
Yep. Trump's is going to have
Trump's
one.
is going to do that, but not all of them obviously have that.
Those are going to be the only 2.
Can you go into the Air Force One model?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Should be cool, though. I'll go to Trump's. I need to go to Truman's. I've been to Lincoln's. Yeah. That'd be kind of fun to go around and go to all the different presidential libraries. I'd be way more into that than I would be like going to all the baseball stadiums in the country like some guys do.
Yeah, I think me too. Jonathan Turley had an idea what may happen if the Democrats get back in. They've said they're going to impeach. He's got a few thoughts about that.
Instead of listening, they went ahead and impeached, but then they did one better. In the next impeachment, they didn't even hold a hearing. They did what I refer to as a snap impeachment and just went straight to impeachment. No hearing, no investigation. So this has become a pattern for Democrats. And I cannot express how damaging that is for our constitutional values and history.
So he's talking about really existential threats to our constitutional values.
Well, you're making the impeachment meaningless.
Yeah.
Like if you just do it every time you get back in power on the last guy that was your opponent, it loses its teeth. It's like calling people racist.
Well, he likened it
lost
to
its teeth as well.
He said it's going to become like a vote of confidence in a parliamentary system like the UK or something else, Yeah. And well, anyway, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we didn't waste a bunch of time impeaching Biden, did we? This time, though, you could have probably come up with plenty of arguments for it.
He should have been 25th amendmented a lot earlier. Make sure you stay in touch with us on our webpage, on our Facebook pages. Sign up for that Politics and Pints in Springfield. If you're listening to us in that area, that'll be on May 6th. We'll see you tomorrow.